As you know, I'm a pediatric sleep coach. That means my primary goal is to help parents improve their children's sleep. But one of the silver linings of doing that is that it typically means that parents can also get more sleep. And sleep is so important for our health. I'm often telling moms that I care as much about the health and well being of moms as I do about the health and well being of their babies. You matter. And today I'm going to share what happened to me when I finally decided to put my oxygen mask on first. I'm sharing this in hopes that you will consider doing the same as we prepare to enter a new year. Hi, I'm Allison Egidi, a pediatric sleep and wellness coach and a mom of two. I love to help parents find solutions. This is How Long Till Bedtime. I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I didn't get an annual physical for over a decade. There were a few reasons that I kept putting it off. One was that I got pregnant and had two babies, and I kind of naively assumed that pregnancy blood work counted. FYI, in case you are clueless like I was, it doesn't count. It's not the same. Another reason was that I kept telling myself that I was too busy. I had every excuse under the sun. None of them all that good, but I had them. I think we all do. And the third and most embarrassing reason that I was putting off getting a physical was that I hate getting blood work. I have a long history through my childhood and into early adulthood of fainting as it relates to needles and blood work. And even though I've generally overcome it, I still just dread getting blood work. And if I'm being truly honest, I didn't want to hear bad news. Now, of course, I realize this is completely irrational. I knew that then, I know it now, but it really did hold me back. So that is my truth. But then heading into 2020, I heard someone make a compelling case for taking care of themselves. It was on the radio, and they really touched on these pain points for me, particularly the crazy idea that you're avoiding hearing bad news. So I had no reason to believe that I would have bad news coming, but there was a part of me that was doing that. So after hearing the show, I decided that heading into the new year of 2020, I would make a promise to myself that I was going to prioritize my health. So that January, I saw the gynecologist, I saw the dentist, I saw the eye doctor, I saw the dermatologist for a skin check, and most importantly, the one I had truly been avoiding, I saw my general practitioner for a wellness visit. I was feeling really good about all of these, including that visit with the general practitioner who said he was quite certain that I was of great health and I wouldn't need to come back for 2 years, until he called me back about my blood work. It was the call that I had been not dreading, but had been dreading before I'd even gotten the physical. So he had reassured me, and it turned out that he shouldn't have because I did have an issue. So it wasn't a huge issue, at least it didn't appear to be at the time, but my TSH was really high, which was indicating that something was off with my thyroid. So frankly, he was pretty flippant about it. And he said that we'd recheck it in 2 months and that we would start me on medication. But because I'm me and I'm a dork and I like to dig for answers, I started to do my own research to try to understand why this would happen, why I would have this elevated TSH. And after doing that research, I had a feeling that I had an autoimmune disease, and I ended up pushing him to test me for Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disease. And he really didn't want to do it. We had a couple conversations about it. He, of course, did not like that I was WebMDing myself, and he really pushed back. But ultimately, he relented. And at the end of the day, it turns out that I had a raging case of angry Hashimoto's. So that opened a whole new can of worms. And he really wasn't going to address it or do anything to help me other than put me on the hormone. So that led to more research. And the results of that one little blood test ended up taking me on a major health journey that's now been almost 2 years. And I didn't want to just take the drugs, I wanted to improve my health. Once I got the not so great news, I really wanted to make changes. So, as part of that, I found a new healthcare provider, I changed my diet, and I really committed to taking care of myself before doing anything else. And by doing that, I found that I have a severe gluten allergy, for example, and some other food sensitivities. And we found a whole slew of other things that were off that we were able to treat. And changing my diet, for one, made me realize how exhausted and how terrible I had actually been feeling for years without even realizing it. You guys, I have told so many people this story, all my friends and family, but I think so many of us as mothers think, well, of course I'm tired because I'm a mom. In fact, when my general practitioner had called me back with that blood work, he said, I'm so surprised to see that this number is off because I asked you a slew of questions that would have related to this. Primarily things like, are you chronically tired? And I said, no, I'm a mom and moms are tired, but I wouldn't consider myself chronically tired because I was up and functioning all the time and doing my job and taking care of my kids. There were other questions about me being cold, which I've been cold my whole life. So there were maybe 5 questions, and I had kind of blown by them as if they were no big deal. But once I started to get treated and once I made the diet changes that helped alleviate most of these symptoms I didn't realize I had, I realized I had been exhausted and I generally had not been feeling well. But I had been feeling not well for so long that I didn't even know what it felt like to feel good. So I tell you this because I really encourage moms, if you feel like you are tired or there's a lot of things you're chalking up to, well, of course, because I'm a mom and I'm doing all the things, I would encourage you not to make that assumption. And if you have not gotten a physical to get all your blood markers checked, this would be a good time to do it. And I ended up finding out upon getting more blood work, I had a lot of deficiencies in basically every vitamin you can think of, including my Bs, which are a big one for a lot of people, but almost every area. So I've been able to supplement that as well. And that has helped me greatly, in addition to the diet changes. So there's really a lot you can do if you start to find out that you're deficient in some areas or you have different food irritants that upset your whole system. If you can clean things up and you can support your body, you might be amazed at how much better you can feel. And another benefit of going on this health journey of my own is that it's really allowed me to educate my girls about their health. And they've really been along for the ride. And I worried about that early on as I went on an autoimmune diet and I did a bunch of things. And I really actually had sought out some advice on how to talk to my kids about this because I didn't want them to suddenly have weird food issues. But it's allowed me to teach them how I am listening to my body. And I'll often tell them, like, "Ooh, I ate XYZ. And because of that, I'm feeling whatever it may be. I might have an upset stomach, or I might be extremely tired, or I'll get really bad body aches, for example." And so it's allowed me to teach them how I'm listening to my body. And it's also allowed them to start to listen to their body and to realize just things aren't just happening. So, a perfect example is that I have had canker sores throughout my whole childhood. On and off, I would have canker sores. And I don't know, someone along the way told me it was related to the high acid in your diet. And so one of my girls has also been very prone to canker sores from very early on. And so whenever she would get them, I would often say, okay, we got to stop the orange juice or whatever we had been eating that I thought was very acidic. And of course, it never really worked, but that was all I knew. Well, a few months into these diet changes, I realized, oh my gosh, I haven't had a canker sore in months. And now, you guys, I'll tell you, I really have not had a canker sore in about 2 years since I made these changes. And it made me realize it was linked to gluten specifically, because that was the first diet change I made. And so I pointed this out to my daughter, Ainsley, and we've really reduced her gluten intake. And by no means are my kids gluten-free. But for example, if she were to get a canker sore, she would say, I got a canker sore. Do you think it's because I'm eating too much gluten? And we just cut back on it for a while. And we try to, in general, we've switched some foods out that we can easily switch that allow her to eat less gluten. And we've cut her canker sores down by probably 75%. So my journey of learning to listen to my body and to not ignore things or brush them off as, well, these things just happen, has also helped me help my girls to listen to their body, which has been really, really cool. And I can say confidently, without a doubt, that I am a much better mom now that I've prioritized taking care of myself, because I feel so much better. I have so much more energy to pour into my girls. And I think they've seen the benefits, which is part of the reason that they've really gotten so on board with my health journey. So now, as I prepare to head into a new year, I'll do what I've done for the last 2 years. I will schedule to see all of my doctors by the end of January. And if you already prioritize your health, I applaud you. Keep up the good work. You were probably ahead of me on this one. But if you've been putting everyone else's health and well-being before your own, my hope is that you will consider taking 20 minutes today to schedule the following appointments. And you may need more beyond this, but these are kind of the basics. I would recommend, if you don't already have one scheduled, schedule a wellness check with your general practitioner. If you don't have one, I have several friends who don't have one, please, please, please find one, because they're going to do that basic blood work that we should be getting on a regular basis. You should schedule an appointment with your gynecologist. I even have my first mammogram scheduled in January. You should schedule a skin check with a dermatologist. That was another finding, is it turned out I had some precancerous moles that I had removed, and I was dreading that as well, but I felt such great relief. And now I see the dermatologist every 6 to 9 months to make sure everything's looking good. So I would add that to your list, particularly if you're fair-skinned. And visit your dentist, visit your eye doctor. I like to get some of these people I need to see more than once a year, but I like to get them all in January. I think a couple might have leaked into early February, but I like to get them all in at the beginning of the year, so I have that baseline going into the year. And my last piece of advice on this topic is to be your own advocate. If you feel like you aren't being heard or your concerns aren't being addressed, please find a healthcare provider who will listen to you. I ultimately ended up working with a functional nurse practitioner, and I would encourage you to consider finding someone trained in functional medicine if you have concerns or think you need some additional help. So to wrap this up, I just want to say that your health matters. You matter. As the saying goes, you can't pour from an empty cup. So please prioritize your health. Put your oxygen mask on first so that you can better help everyone around you. If you won't do it for yourself, do it for your children. All right, thanks for joining me here today. I will see you back here next week. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to How Long Till Bedtime. To learn how we can work together to improve your child's sleep, please visit sleepandwellnesscoach.com.